Is there a Detroit style of improv that's different than Chicago and Los
Oh,
Angeles and New York?
that's a really interesting question. I think that at least when I was coming up, I think that we played a little more slowly, if you will, because I think that everything was less pressure in Detroit. We didn't have, for good and for bad, there was no producers from Saturday Night Live coming to watch us. There was no competition. So that's why we're so tight, because we were able to be so supportive. And there was also a little bit of kind of not the unwanted stepchild, but certainly the like stepchild thing of like, there was a lot, totally understandable. There were a lot of people who were like, oh, whatever the schlock is they're doing over there, like, I guess we're McDonald's now. We're just going to open second cities everywhere. But, we thought we were doing really good work at the time. Looking back on it now, having worked a lot more in this industry, I think we were doing really good work at the time. I was certainly working with some of my favorite people ever to perform with who are hilarious. So, yeah, I think we were able to kind of take our time and really begin scenes slowly, lay a strong foundation, develop character choices together, in a slow, more methodical manner. In Chicago at that time, the long form sketch show had kind of taken over the world and was king, because Pinata Full of Bees and Paradigm Lost were happening. I mean, two of the greatest shows in the history of Second City, and they were very character driven and incredibly, of course, amazing performances, but they were also really fast and slick. At the same time that they developed that, Tom and Mick and guys like that were starting to direct these shows that had incredible character work. They also were developing, more callbacks. They would take a scene that was a little too long and break it in half and put, the first half of the first act and the second half in the second act. And transitions were starting to kind of like, it wasn't lights up, lights down so much. It was more seamless transitions. And all of that started to lend itself to, I think, faster play. I think that was the stuff that began, if it trickles down from those types of shows, I think that was also when troops all around the country started doing like cut to stuff more often and tag outs and scenes and, all of that stuff that sort of breaks up kind of a slow, more methodical scene. And yeah.
And Detroit also had more diversity in its cast before
We
Chicago.
did. Yeah, we did. Yeah, that was kind of, I don't want to say what we were known for, but it was, I mean, first of all, I think that, in order to do satire, obviously, your cast needs to reflect your community. Your cast needs to reflect your world. And certainly to do it in Detroit, at that time, especially, we needed to be able to talk to everybody, the people who lived in the city, the people who lived in the suburbs. A lot of our audience were like white suburbanites who came downtown to see our show, and we weren't letting them leave until we told them a thing or two about white flight and some other stuff. And so, yeah, we had three, in that first cast I was in, we had three insanely talented BIPOC actors. Jerry Minor was in that cast, Angela Shelton and Chris Smith were the three people in that cast. And it was amazing because they were able to do, scenes with layers and levels to them about the Black life experience, where they didn't just play the same one person. It was like, oh, really? There are Black people who have different experiences and people of color who have different experiences in life and in the world and come from different socioeconomic backgrounds. How shocking. So they were able to put more than one BIPOC or person of color opinion on stage at the same time, like a scene with, three Black people only talking to each other. And so it was revolutionary for the time, I believe. And those folks began to make their mark for Detroit Second City on Chicago as well, and kind of change our reputation a little bit and earn our reputation a little bit. Jerry was the first person who left the Detroit cast and went to the Chicago cast and worked at the ETC for a couple of years with, those were like all-time casts. Neil Flynn, Brian Stack, Jim Zulovic, like they were the four guys at one point, like just home run city, Miriam Tolan, Dee Ryan, they were outrageously talented. I used to go and just sit in the back of the room and watch them play sets.
He's a nerd. Oh yeah. Jimmy's a nerd. He's a nerd. Oh yeah.